So reflecting on both men I interviewed, there's a lot that goes into this master schedule, which I had no idea. Thinking to Mr. Meyer, I was very surprised on the concept of your master schedule really is dictated by the number of teachers you have, the number of students that are in the building, and the concept of how do you not only please your students, but how do you please your staff and the needs that they need? So for example, I didn't think about the health needs of some teachers or even the health needs of some teachers. I was just thinking like, oh, you make the master schedule, then you got to put people wherever they need to go and they got to make it work. But it doesn't always work like that. And your master schedule should not affect the instruction, but depending on how the timing of your classes, that is going to affect instruction. And that also is going to affect on where you can put certain classes at. Mr. Hines made a good point. He said, when it comes to making a master schedule, you can't put certain AP classes or certain music classes in certain spots or certain PE classes in certain spots because of the facilities people are using and also the number of kids that are in these classes and where they're going with these classes. We know maximizing student learning is always the first and foremost. But then also to maximize this learning within your schedule, you have to think, do I leave a common prep for every single department? Well, some departments you can't do that. So for example, I know like the science department, due to the master schedule, they all have fourth period prep. Well, that's good, they all can get together, but it's the concept of, are teachers really using that time to collaborate, or just using that time just to say, oh, I have a longer lunch than usual? And so those are things that come in to think about the master schedule and determine, do we need a common prep for every single department? Or is it better to have teachers that have different common preps? So now that, let's say if a teacher is not available that teaches a certain subject, they can go help out due to the teacher shortage and due to the lack of subs that we actually have. Also, I thought it was interesting to think about the future in terms of where is our school gonna be and what things are gonna be needed for the next part of what Avon High School could be, in terms of how many more rooms are we gonna need? How many more teachers are we gonna need? Because we are busting at the seams. And the master schedule is gonna help us determine where our teachers are going to go, where our teachers are going to feel the most comfortable at, because teachers got to feel comfortable in the master schedule, such as I thought it was very important that teachers have an idea of, hey, like I like teaching this class, I'm gonna stick with it. But then also we have our experienced teachers that teach upper level, which is a little bit backwards, like Mr. Meyer said that, and Mr. Hines said it too, that we should be having some of our better teachers teaching our lower level classes because they have some of the best pedagogy. But then also we know that to teach higher level classes, you do need certifications, but only the experience gives you. So now, the so what part of this, in terms of how do school policies and practices protect the quality instruction time and student learning? I mean, overall, the master schedule does do all that. I mean, you have to create the master schedule based upon what the vision and value is of your school. So for us, we are trying to inspire students, engage learners, and empower citizens. So we know that we build our master schedule based upon what our core values is of the school and also what our school board tells us and the Indiana Department of Education, which is you need to have these classes, but then you need to make sure that you're meeting the minimum number of learning minutes a week and or in the school year to ensure that students are getting a high quality education. And in terms of collaboration for teachers, I would say that now that we have pushed school back, we have now made it where teachers have a little bit more time to actually collaborate and get things ready for their class and look at data and create a guaranteed viable curriculum so that students are getting this high quality education that they haven't been able to get in the past, right now, really in the last year and a half due to COVID, because making the master schedule, especially around a pandemic, is not as easy as one would think, especially because coming into this year, many of those students that usually were better students in years past are now ones that have to retake classes, which means we now have to create more and more sections of classes that usually you would not think they need to retake, that they now do have to retake. But based upon this experience that I've went on today and had these conversations, even though we had to do it virtually, I would say it went very well, because I would say there's a lot of things I did not know about the master schedule. I know last year when I was seeing teachers, I saw the spreadsheet of teachers trying to pick their classes, and it kind of was like, wow, that's what you do? Where at past schools, it's been like, hey, I don't want to teach honors. I'll teach regular, or I'll teach this, I'll teach that. But then to know like the picking and the pinpointing of, hey, you're gonna have to do this, but you might have to do this, or you got to do this. And really, there's not much I would change. I think the only thing that I would have to say in the master schedule that we have to start thinking is, I think Mr. Meyer said it best, is, are we being equitable in, we make the master schedule, but the seats that are being put in this classroom, we know we have a lot of kids, but is there any way that we can create more sections of the class to make it where a student does not have to be in a classroom of 30 people, so they can get the best high quality education that they can receive? I think really, I mean, all of it was pretty much surprising for me. I was very surprised that Mr. Hines talked about his past experience of him having to do it on paper. I thought that was very, especially in the 2000s, like we're still using paper. That was crazy. And I think in transforming me as an administrator, I actually want to do a little bit more with the master schedule, and to sit down with Frank. Frank is Mr. Meyer, my apologies, and Mr. Hines, and really dig deeper into, how is the master schedule made? How can I help to be a part of making the master schedule? And how does our master schedule possibly change, knowing our demographics of students is changing rapidly within the past 5 years? We went from a school that at one point back in 2010 was 90% white, and we got to 2020, and now we are 2020, 2021. In the past 2 years, we have now turned from 90-10 to almost 60-40, to we are almost moving into a 50-50 split. So thank you for listening to my post-activity reflection. I'm very happy to be back in this program. Thank you so much.